Welcome everyone. We're here with Jo, and she is like fitness enthusiast, outdoor enthusiast, guru. On Instagram, she's Average Jo Adventures and just has like all these amazing hiking photos. And then she also has I just learned you have another Instagram account, Average Jo Fitness, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, guys.
We are just gonna get started into you showing us the treat that you chose for today.
Well, let me say hi first. I haven't met you. I'm Emily.
Oh, yeah, hi, Emily.
Nice to meet you.
Hi, Emily.
You guys know each other?
We know each other because through biking, and we're just like best friends.
Cool.
And Joanna is my cousin. Like, you married my cousin, so we're like cousins.
Cousin-in-laws, however that works.
Yeah.
Cousin-in-laws. Nice. Yeah, so tell us about this little treat you have picked out.
So one of my favorite, I love peanut butter and chocolate in any combination ever. So I like to do chocolate rice cakes with peanut butter on top of them.
Yeah.
So it's a good midday snack. That's usually when I bust it out. So
We have a couple renditions. We went a little crazy. We have, what's this one?
This is apple cinnamon rice cakes
With peanut butter and Ritual 100% cacao chocolate.
yeah, so good.
So it's a little crazy.
We got this for our last podcast. It's because it's like Park City, these cyclists in Park City have it, or own the company basically. Anyways, 100% cacao, like the only ingredient is cacao. So
Cool.
anyways, it's pretty good.
And then we have just a normal chocolate rice cake with lots of peanut butter.
Classic. So good. And I have I have cheddar because the nearest Walmart is the only place that sells it, and it's like 45 minutes away. So I have not
Cheddar's delicious.
Yeah, so
Can you try them?
oh yeah.
Mmm.
Pretend that this is chocolate.
I want to try that. I've never tried
Cheddar with chocolate might be a little weird though.
I've never tried the chocolate.
Mmm.
It's surprisingly good. Like,
Mm-hmm.
Peanut butter makes everything even better.
so true. So true.
Yeah. And the reason I have both is because we kept trying to order online these chocolate rice cakes, and they kept giving us caramel. And so I thought that we just never got them. But then I made these, and then Thomas was like, no, I actually picked them up in the store for you. I was like, oh, perfect.
This
So-
one is amazing.
The apple one?
If you need some ideas, cinnamon apple with peanut butter and chocolate on top.
Okay, I'll have to try that. I usually don't get the apple ones, so that sounds good.
Pretty much tastes like a dessert.
That's the goal.
So tell us a little bit about yourself and your background in exercise and outdoor recreation.
Cool. Yeah. So where to begin? My husband and I live in New Mexico. We've been here since May. So
What part of New Mexico?
it's northern New Mexico. It's called Los Alamos. It's just like this little town on top of a mesa, and it's really small. So
You're right near a bunch of mountains, right?
yeah. So we live at like 7,500 feet, and we live like at the base of some mountains, and so I mean, there's like a ski hill here. Yeah, it's really beautiful. We really like it.
That's rad.
Yeah, and so I have a degree in exercise and wellness. That's my background. I've worked as a health coach before, and I am right now I'm working on getting my personal training certification. So I'm a little more than halfway through. So I'm really enjoying that, and I hope to yeah, start working with clients next year. And then as far as outdoor stuff goes, I don't know, like I've always liked the outdoors. And then when I moved to Utah for college, I think that's really where everything kind of started for me. I was meeting friends from Colorado and Utah, and they were just telling me about all these cool places. And so I was like, let's go there. And that's just kind of how it started. I just started climbing, and I ended up working at an outdoor summer camp in the Rockies for a few summers in college. And so I think that's where like my love of the outdoors really got started. So
Nice. So you said you do a lot of climbing, like rock climbing or canyoneering, or
yeah, so we do a little bit of climbing, but very casually. We're definitely more of canyoneers. That's more of our thing. But canyoneering, backpacking, just hiking. Yeah, love a little bit of everything. So
nice.
yeah.
And you're from Massachusetts, correct?
So my parents live in Massachusetts. They live in Boston,
yeah.
but
Yeah.
I'm actually originally from Ohio. So they lived there for like 25 years, and then
Oh yeah, because you're a big Buckeyes fan.
big Ohio State fan.
So when you like growing up in, Ohio, did you ever do any of these outdoor activities, or did it really start in college?
So yes and no to it starting in Ohio, because I knew that I liked the outdoors. Like I started going indoor climbing, so I guess not outdoors, but like I started going indoor climbing with like some friends in college, or sorry, friends in high school. And my older brothers were pretty outdoorsy, so they would take us like camping and fishing and stuff. And I really liked that. And then like, through church, I'd go to like girls' camp in the summertime, and everyone else hated it. And I was like, oh, like I really like this. Like I like camping and stuff. So I knew that I liked it, but the access, wasn't quite there just because I was young and because I lived in Columbus, Ohio. So yeah, and then that just kind of led into exploring more in college.
One time, Elise and I tried to backpack Kings Peak.
How did that go?
Let's just say that we have a lot to learn from you.
Did you make it? Did you summit?
We got to like the saddle, and it was getting dark, so
Wasn't there going to be weather? I can't remember exactly, but I think there was going to be a storm.
yeah, something like that. Like we were like almost there, and then we just turned around. But
I think that's pretty common though. I think weather prevents a lot of people from summiting.
Yeah. Better safe than sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just remember I had this like huge men's pack, and I didn't understand like women's specific anything, and I just remember being like, oh my gosh, what happened to my back?
Yeah.
So.
No, my first few backpacking trips were also very laughable. So you learn.
The thing I remember about that trip was we were like, Emily was super concerned about bears, and so
I think I was just hungry, and so I was a little bit hangry.
like the first night we were just like hiking in the dark. We got there when it was dark, and so we only hiked with a bag of raw chicken.
Oh god.
Because we were like, oh, we're just gonna cook this for like tonight, you know what I mean? In college, Emily and I used to like take full-on food, like camping and stuff, and
like lots of raw chicken.
Yeah, we would
so weird.
We would cook whole meals like in the wild.
We would carry. Oh gosh, I'm just remembering this. We would carry like chicken and olive oil and like spices.
There's like no prep beforehand.
Yeah, so we would like bring all of this in our backpacks, and oh gosh, what was it? I remember on the time that we tried to do Kings Peak, I had glass jars full of food, and I was backpacking with glass jars.
Well, the quote I remember is we were all like paranoid about bears.
We didn't know anything,
And
so I'm just like,
so we're like trying to like get all the food out of the tent, like that might attract bears, or like bears might smell, and like jam. There was still jam in one of our bags, and Emily was like, get that jam out of the tent.
Oh, embarrassing.
So that's like our quotable moment that we just.
Hey, it's real. And there's
Yeah,
always that one thing you forgot to put in the bear bag, and you're like, "Great, I'm toast."
The hilarious part is we didn't have a bear bag, so we were like hanging it in trees. So there was like a bag of raw chicken juice hanging in a tree.
Oh gosh.
So let's just say we have a lot to learn from you.
That's awesome.
We have a lot of questions. First off, we want to know, how does nutrition just help prepare you for like just all your fitness stuff and your outdoor weekend warrior adventures, basically?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess my disclaimer is that anyone, no matter their fitness or nutrition, lifestyle, or whatever, like anyone can get outdoors. Like that's a great thing about the outdoors is that's for everyone. But I feel like for me personally, like trying to stay fit and trying to eat healthy, like just first of all, like it helps me feel confident getting outdoors because like if I feel like I'm in shape and I feel like I'm healthy, then I'm gonna feel like I'm more capable of like, you know, hiking that mountain or like doing that full day hike, you know, stuff like that. So I think just confidence wise, it helps me. And then, you know, obviously just physically, like if you're in better shape, you're going to be able to go harder and longer and farther, which you guys know about that as bikers. Which, side note, every time I get on a bike, Elise, I think of you because I suck biking so bad and my thighs burn so bad. I'm like, how does she do this? Anyways, that was a side tangent. But yeah, you know, just feeling confident to get out and knowing that my body is going to be able to handle whatever it is that I want to do.
That's true. Like I know you're doing your personal training certification. Do you have any tips for people who are like nervous about that aspect?
Well, I do think it's important to be self-aware of what your ability level is, right? Because you don't want to get into a bad situation where you've pushed yourself too far or, you know, you hurt yourself or whatever. Like those, you know, it's just a bad situation. So yeah, I mean, kind of knowing where you are and starting there. So, you know, if a 30-minute hike or walk or whatever, even on like a paved trail, if that's where you're at, like that is awesome. Like start there, you know? And I think going with people is important too. Going with people or friends who are maybe like your same or similar fitness level so you can kind of help each other.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the biggest thing is just not being ashamed of where you're at and getting out there. Like that's, I mean, as long as you're physically prepared with like the things that you need to get out, I mean, go for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, of course, like you know, if you can start working out more or start eating healthier or lose 10 pounds or whatever, anything little thing you can do is gonna fit you in the long run. So
You mentioned there was like make sure you come prepared. What are, if you had to do like a basic run of items that you always go out with, what would you say those things are?
I have a few different packs that I use. I have one that I use for my camera. And then if I'm not taking my camera, I just have like an Osprey like day pack. I actually have it right here. I don't know how many liters it is, 20 liters. So a good pack that's going to be able to hold all the things that you need. I always bring a rain jacket, like even if there's not rain in the forecast, like I bring a rain jacket. I mean, it obviously depends on the hike. Like it depends how long you're going or where you're going, but I always bring at least 2 liters of water. Always bring all the snacks, obviously. What else? Hiking poles, again, just depending on what you're doing, but for steep stuff, I like to use hiking poles. It helps my knees.
Do you have any like devices you use, like any sort of like electronic device for tracking or anything like that?
So I just download the maps on my Google map. So I'll download the area where I'm going, and then I will have already added whatever GPS coordinates I'm needing for wherever I'm going. And then if it's a shorter hike, I don't worry about battery. If it's a longer hike or I'm backpacking, then I do have a really good battery pack charger that I bring with me. But other than that, I don't, technology wise, I don't have anything else that I use. So yeah.
Or you said it was just maps? Just your phone?
Yeah, so just
on your phone?
Google Maps on my phone. Yeah, so you can download stuff so that you can use it offline even if you don't have like service or anything. So yeah, it's pretty simple system, but it works for me. So yeah.
That's nice. That's cool. I've heard of certain products like Garmin, they'll have like the beacon or something like that. Or if you get lost, it'll like send a signal. Have you ever thought about using something like that?
Yeah, for sure. So we've been saying for like a year or two that we need to get one. And there's like the Garmin InReaches.
Yeah.
Super smart to have. And we were actually gonna get that for Christmas this year. So we'll see.
Oh, nice.
I'm not sure yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, like super smart, super good investment. So we've been kind of like casually looking for something for the past year or so. So
Cool. When you're canyoneering, because that's something that I don't know anything about. I feel like I kind of understand hiking, but I don't know anything about canyoneering. What are like some foods that you would bring with you, or how long are you out? How often do you need to eat? Is that even important for canyoneering?
yeah, for sure. It's actually really similar to backpacking, where in that like whatever you need or whatever you bring needs to be lightweight. It needs to be able to get squashed. Like it's probably going to end up in a dry bag and needs to be able to get crushed by stuff. And then yeah, just like high energy, uh, lots of carbs and just like stuff to keep you going. Yeah, I asked Sam what I usually feed him because I thought he would have better recollection than me. But I often do chicken wraps and veggies. So I'll do like avocado and if we've been out camping and I'm not prepping from home, I have my things to show you. I use canned chicken because it's great. It doesn't need to be refrigerated or anything until you've opened it. So I'll make wraps with chicken and whatever veggies we have and like avocado. And then I just wrap them up super good in foil. And then you can just throw that thing in your pack. And even if it gets squished, like they still stay good.
Mm-hmm.
So I try to avoid bread, like PB&J, like it's just going to get disgusting. So I try to avoid the bread just because you're like throwing your pack around and like you don't know how it's going to land and stuff is just getting thrown everywhere. And then just like high protein stuff, I pretty much always bring some kind of beef jerky. I love Perky Jerky brand, if you've heard of it. It's so good.
I haven't. What is it? Is it like a turkey?
Yeah, it's turkey, but it's like super soft and forgive me for saying moist, but it's like soft and moist and just so good. So I love that brand.
It's called turkey jerky.
Perky jerky.
Perky jerky. It's perky jerky in the form of turkey. So say that.
Perky jerky.
Another thing I'll do is I'll do like egg salad and I'll put it in like Tupperware and then just bring crackers to like eat it out of the Tupperware. Again, just avoiding bread. And then I'll also go ahead.
Do the crackers get crumbled?
So I'll try to either leave them in a small box or put them in their own Tupperware or do something to protect them so they don't get crushed. And then we also do the tuna packets.
Nice.
Those are super good. Sometimes I just eat them like straight. If you get the ones that are like have like fun flavors, it's good. I really like apples with those like pretzels that are filled with peanut butter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, apples with those, super good. Just like high energy stuff that won't get crushed.
Mm-hmm. So like chicken and veggie turkey wraps.
Yeah.
Chicken and veggie avocado wraps, and then like egg salad with crackers, apples and pretzels with peanut butter. Did I miss any? Oh, and then tuna packets.
Yeah, I mean that's a lot of protein. But yeah, so then I'll just bring like some kind of like carby snack. Like we'll bring like Cheez-Its, and we'll like bring some candy and like stuff that I maybe wouldn't normally have like if I was just going out for a short hike, but just other kind of like high calorie things to
Yeah.
get you through.
How much water do you generally need to drink for that? For canyoneering?
Yeah, so again, like it just depends. Like, I'd say most, like a lot of the canyons we do will typically be like maybe 4 to 6 hours. Like that's on the short end. So basically whatever you would bring for a hike that was that long, I would probably bring like 3 to 4 liters. And I'm someone who's like, bring all the water. Like I like panic that I'm gonna run out of water in the desert or something.
Mm-hmm.
So pretty much as I can carry in addition to all my gear. So, but yeah, if it's going to be like a full day thing, then yeah, just as much as you can. And we'll bring water filters if there's going to be anywhere to fill up. There's often not. So,
What type of water filter do you use?
I have a Sawyer Mini. So it has like the little bladder and you screw on the filter. I really like it.
I haven't done a lot with water purification, but that's something I want to learn more about because I want to get into like more endurance, like long bike packing and stuff like that.
Cool.
So I feel like that's something that you kind of have to figure out and really get down because you can't carry water that much. Like if you're going on like a month-long bike packing thing, you just can't carry that much water,
Yeah, and I haven't done much with like actual like purification tablets, but
Yeah.
probably a good thing to know for that.
So we use Aquamira, and our guest that we spoke to last week, that's the same one that she uses. So,
Cool.
But it like doesn't have a weird taste at all. So
That's good.
yeah. So I recommend that.
Cool.
If somebody was like gonna go on like a shorter day hike, do you have any foods that you would recommend?
I think beef jerky is like if you're wanting to get protein in, I think beef jerky is a great option. For stuff like that, I will definitely do more fruits and veggies. Great option just to like give you some natural sugars, like to keep your energy up, but also it just tastes good. So yeah, like apples, and I'll like slice up like bell peppers, anything like that. Because if you're not going too long, like you're gonna be pretty okay. And I do take rice cakes with me hiking because I don't care about them getting smashed as much.
Yeah.
And with energy bars, like I usually take protein bars. I'm kind of picky about bar type foods. Like try to avoid like the high sugar like sports bars that are so well marketed and so poorly understood. So I like to do protein bars.
What brand do you like?
So I use these ones called Power Crunch.
Power Crunch.
I like it because I feel like most protein bars are really dense and just like really hard to get through, and I have a really hard time with that, like the texture and like how thick they are. And these are like the texture of a Kit Kat bar, like they're like wafers kind of, so they're super lightweight, and they taste really good. Like they basically taste like Kit Kats. So I really like those. I feel like I talk about protein a lot, and the reason that is because I lift like 4 to 5 times a week, and I'm like actively trying to like change my body composition, which is why I eat high protein, but not saying that that's like for everyone, but that's probably why I talk about protein a lot. So anyways.
I think actually protein, when we're on that topic, I think that's a really important macronutrient that a lot of people don't understand well enough. Like if you're an active person and you have fitness goals, you have to be eating a ton of protein.
Yeah.
It's like basically like a gram per pound of body weight.
Yeah.
Which is, if you think about it, that is a lot of protein.
It is hard to do. Like if those are your goals and that's what you're needing to do, like people, I mean, you always hear people say, oh, you'll just get the protein you need from what you're eating, which for maybe the average person that's totally true. Like, not saying that every person needs to eat high protein, but yeah, if you're an athlete and you're trying to gain muscle or lose fat and maintain muscle or change body composition, like getting enough protein is hard. Like
Yeah.
it is basically all you think about, which is why you get the stereotypes of like meatheads who all they think about is protein because
Yeah.
they
Well,
have to.
but the other thing is your body can actually only absorb, I think it's like 30 grams of protein at a time. And so if you try to eat like a ton of protein in one sitting, it's going to be difficult for your body to actually absorb all the amino acids.
Right.
So I totally understand why people have those like stereotypes, because they're just looking at the science of your body and being like, okay, I need to eat this much protein and I can only absorb this much in one sitting. So I used to struggle a lot with like recovery from biking. And this past few weeks, I've been feeling like that same fatigue that I used to feel. And I was thinking about it. I'm like, I have not been eating nearly enough protein. And for me, that's like a huge thing that really helps a lot with like just performance as well as body composition.
Yeah. Yeah, you're totally right. All the research says like the best way for your body to get enough protein and absorb the protein is like having 25 to 30 grams multiple times throughout the day. So that's what I do. Like I have 3 meals a day and then usually 1 to 2 snacks, and so I try to make sure I'm getting my pretty much 30 in each meal and then 20 to 30 in with my snacks. So, but yeah, it's so important for muscle recovery. I I naturally just get really sore from stuff, so I have to be like staying up on it or I'll just not be able to walk.
Yeah. And you lift, like, did you say 4 to 5 times a week?
Yeah. Typically.
Is that like every day-ish?
Yeah, so Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday is what I'm doing right now. And then because I have to have that rest day in the middle or I just won't recover. And then sometimes I'll do a weekend lift too, but we're usually out hiking or something. So
eating that much protein every day, back on the protein bandwagon.
Yeah.
What are some foods that you will eat? Because if you're going for like 30 grams several times a day, what are kind of your go-to options?
Yeah. So for breakfast, I will usually do I'll do like avocado toast and I'll use 1 egg, but then I'll also use liquid egg whites because it's less calorie but still high protein. So I'll use egg whites, and I will also I'll do Ezekiel bread with like cottage cheese on top of it. I love Ezekiel bread.
It's so good.
I have like 2 to 4 slices a day. But yeah, so I'll just put like a tablespoon of some kind of like jam or jelly on it, and then I'll put the cottage cheese on top of it, and then I'll put like berries on it or something. It's really yummy. And then honestly for breakfast, I'll eat what I want. So I'll have some variation of like avocado toast and eggs and cottage cheese. And then if I still need some more protein, I'll honestly just have a few ounces of like Premier protein. It's a great like filler for if I'm needing more protein. So that's pretty much what my breakfasts look like. Sometimes I'll throw Greek yogurt in, but usually I save that for snacks. Lunch, again, like I'll just kind of base lunch and dinner. I'll kind of base the meal around whatever lean protein I'm using. So chicken or turkey usually. And then I'll get in my carb or starch and then some kind of vegetable. So I just make sure I'm getting my proportions, like my portions of food are correct so that I'm getting the protein. And then, or, I try to do like, I'm not super great at this, but I try to do like 1 meatless day a week. So I'm getting my protein from beans and other sources. And then like, if I right now I'm cutting, so I'm pretty limited and like pretty strict with like my calories right now. But if I have enough at the end of the day, I'll have some kind of snack. Like I love to do just like vanilla Greek yogurt mixed with either peanut butter and chocolate or sometimes I'll put like lemon curd in it, or like just cocoa, like something to kind of make it more fun.
Those sound really yummy.
Do you feel like you see pretty good body composition changes when you stick to that type of diet?
That's a good question, because I've been pretty actively, kind of like doing this and like doing this lifestyle for the past 2 years. And but that being said, I love food, and I love like being outdoors. And so sometimes those things interfere with it. So I'm not always as strict as, I'm not going to say as I should be, but like sometimes I'm not strict enough for long enough. But that being said, in the past 2 years, I've lost and maintained like a 25 to 30 pound weight loss, basically through lifting, and eating the way that I try to. So like long term, yes, like I've totally seen the change and the benefit, and I've been able to maintain it. But short term, sometimes I get frustrated with myself because I'm like, oh, well, like I want pizza, or like I'm gonna skip a day of lifting this week because I want to go on this trip, So I think it's about flexibility for sure, and just being okay with where you're at, and seeing how far you've come. And
I also feel like for long-term health, like it can be hard to be really strict all the time. You can really get burnt out.
for sure, yeah. And like, I mean, I totally respect people who like actually bodybuild and compete, because they have to be so strict. And I just like, I do count my macros like loosely, and I watch my protein and stuff, but I just know that for my personality type, like if I try to be too strict for too long, I'll like tip over the edge, and like it's not good. So I definitely have to kind of be honest with myself about just how I'm doing, and not being too restrictive. So
Yeah. I think counting macros and things can be really beneficial for short periods of time, especially because a lot of people don't realize what they're consuming every day. Like a lot of people are eating these really high carb, high fat diets, really low in protein. And I think a lot of people don't even realize it because they don't know what type of macros they're eating every day. So
yeah.
I feel like for some people, it's just good to get an idea of, okay, this is in the general day, this is what I'm eating. And then you can kind of, like you said, loosely learn.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me personally, so I have been the same weight since I put on my initial freshman 15 and have been the same weight. I was underweight in high school because I was like doing cross country and track and swimming, just like sport to sport to sport. And so I was like, I'm going through puberty, and anyways. So it was like, for me, the freshman 15 is like a positive thing because I actually needed that, and I've been the exact same weight ever since.
Yeah.
So yeah, everyone's different, but about once a year I'll just do like a 2-week period where I do count my calories, kind of like what Emily was just saying, just getting a sense of like how much am I eating. And for me it's usually like, am I eating enough food to fuel my pursuits, like my biking and the things that I do. So
I have that same issue as making sure I'm eating enough.
Yeah.
Because like I think especially when you're lifting or doing endurance stuff or doing both every single day, you don't realize how much you need to consume, like to see those sort of gains. Like I think it's really beneficial to do a brief calorie macro count, just to kind of understand exactly what you're putting into your body. I feel for me that's helpful, at least.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. When we were still living in Utah and I was working as a health coach, people just, I mean, most people who came in I worked at like a weight loss clinic. So we had like patients who would come in, and, so people are there to lose weight. And, the first thing you'd say, you'd be like, okay, well, I want you to download my Fitness Pal and start counting your calories. And they're like, oh, I don't want to do that. And you're like, yeah, I was like, look, I am not asking you to count your calories for the rest of your life. Like that's not what this commitment is. Like, but you need people need to understand how much they're consuming and what they're consuming. So I totally agree. Like, I don't even think it's healthy to like count every single thing you eat all the time. And so, yeah, like I go through phases, kind of like you guys were talking about. Like, if I feel like I've kind of loosened up a little too much, I'll track again. If I have gained some weight that I wasn't wanting to gain, or I have, whatever, I'm trying to maintain, like, yeah, and I think it's super beneficial for people who are starting out on, if it's weight loss or trying to gain muscle, whatever their journey is. Like, if you've never done that before, it is so important to kind of really just understand what's in the food that you're eating so that you can fuel better. So
Yeah.
And does your husband share like the same nutrition philosophy, like same nutrition goals, etc.?
yeah. So definitely not. And it's just funny because we couldn't be more opposite in this way. And so, well, it's funny, and sometimes it causes
Well,
yeah,
I well, both of our husbands are like, I feel like we're
definitely the healthier ones. I feel like my husband's come a long way. Like, when we first were dating, he would eat a sleeve of Oreos for breakfast and a sleeve of Oreos for lunch. And I was just like, dude, what are you doing? Because I studied nutritional biochem in college. So I like love nutrition. And I was just like, what are you doing to yourself?
and despite how good Oreos are, what's in them, and you're like, oh my gosh.
Just like your poor little body. Anyways, he's come a long way. He eats really healthy now for the most part, and I have to get on him sometimes about like, because he's a cyclist, and I have to be like, hey, you have to eat a little bit better if you want to have some health and cycling performance. Anyways, back to Elise's question.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's same thing. It's been a little bit of a journey. We've been married for like 3 years now, and in his defense, I wasn't as health conscious when we got married, so he didn't truly know what he was getting into. So at least basically you wanted to know like what I do about it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, do you guys like eat the same things, or just how do you navigate that?
Fortunately, I do all of the grocery shopping and all the cooking. So like he doesn't care enough about eating to like make food for himself. So like honestly, most of the time the problem is that he doesn't eat, and he like won't eat all day and like not realize it. Or when he does eat, he's making like poor fast choices because he just like doesn't care, which, and I guess I should just give the disclaimer that he's great and I love him, and this is one flaw, in case he listens to this. But no, like if he could just eat like Little Caesars every day, like that's what he would live off of, like Little Caesars and root beer. So I guess like the main thing is that I cook for him, and I've just like over the past few years have experimented to see like what he will tolerate and what he won't tolerate, and like slowly trying to figure out what healthy foods he does like, and then just eating those more. So I found out that he does like salmon, and he does like broccoli, and he likes Brussels sprouts in this form, like just knowing how he likes it and how he'll be willing to eat it. But also sometimes we just eat completely different things, like, especially for like lunch when I'm in a hurry, because we're both at home right now, and so I will measure out whatever it is that I'm eating so precisely and whatever, and then I'll just make something for him that I know he'll like. So a little bit of both. Like sometimes I force him to eat what I'm eating, and then sometimes we just do our own thing.
I feel like that's super helpful, because if you want to help someone eat healthy, you also have to respect like their likes and dislikes, and just kind of work with them to have better health. Because I think if it's your spouse, like you want them to be healthy, you want them to have a long, healthy life, you kind of like them.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's like a battle. You kind of have to like pick and choose, like, because then some days he will eat like cookies for lunch, and I'm just like, I don't know, like there's only so much you can do, and like you can't bug him too much about it. So um I was actually talking to him about this beforehand. And he's like, well, make sure they know it's because I like to save money. And I'm like, well,
Yeah.
okay.
I actually think that's a common reason why people maybe don't eat as healthy, is just because it is a money thing.
Yeah, no, totally. And I think for him that's a good excuse, but it's really just because he likes cookies. But you're right. Like for a lot of people, like that is a legitimate concern, and you do have to find the ways that you can, you know, eat healthy on a budget, and it's doable. It's hard though. Like you have to be committed to, you know, trying to make it work.
I think that's really helpful.
I think that's most of our nutrition related questions. Do you have any other just tips about nutrition?
I think with food and with exercise, like I think the most important thing is just to find things that you enjoy. Like, you know, even if you are trying to lose weight, like find healthy foods that you enjoy that aren't going to make you miserable, and wishing that, you know, like you ultimately just end up eating a whole pizza because you're sad and like depressed. So, and same thing with exercise, like find the forms of exercise that you enjoy and go for it. So I think that's the most important thing, is just not making, like, not forcing yourself to be miserable when you could find things you like.
And then we want to know just a couple just fun questions about hiking. So, like, what's one of the most picturesque hikes you've been on?
So that's like impossible to choose, but most of my favorites are in Colorado. I love Colorado. So the San Juan Mountains near like Ouray and Telluride are just beautiful. One of my favorite views is from Mount Sneffels. It's a 14er over by like Ridgeway, Telluride area. It's actually where Sam and I got engaged. But yeah, the views are just amazing. Like the Alpine Lakes over there. Oh, so pretty. There's Columbine.
I'm from Colorado, and I have never done a 14er, which I want to, but
What? Wait, you're
Grand
living.
Junction.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So it's like those are like 2 hours from home, and just haven't done them.
Oh, have you been to the San Juans though?
Like I mean, I've stayed in Ouray and Telluride, so I probably have. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't really associate the mountain range names.
Yeah. I've probably done like maybe 5 or 6, so not a whole ton, but oh, they're so pretty.
So Mount Sneffels should be the 14er of choice that I should.
Maybe don't start with that one. Oh, Sam says that he thinks your dad has done Mount Sneffels.
Oh, okay.
But
you might have, yeah.
What you can do is you can, if you Google Colorado 14ers listed by difficulty, it gives you the whole range of the hikes and how difficult they are. I think Mount Sneffels is in the middle to upper, or like, you know, the moderate to hard range. I would start with something a little bit, I mean, let's be honest, they're all hard because they're 14ers. But I would start with something on the lower end, like Handy's Peak. That's also in the San Juans. And all the views are amazing. So if you can do a shorter hike, why not? No, but I mean, Sneffels is for sure, should be on the list. Like, it's so pretty. And then, yeah, I was thinking about like the Telluride Via Ferrata. The views from there are just incredible, so pretty. Go do it. But yeah.
What's it called? The Via?
Yeah, Via Ferrata. Have you heard of it?
Ferrata. I haven't.
So, it's another language for like iron rung or something like that. I can't remember what language. That's embarrassing. But
I think it's Italian.
Italian? I feel, yeah, that might be right. Thank you.
Because when we were in Italy, we were looking at some Via Ferrata. We didn't do any, but we were looking at
Okay.
actually doing that.
Yeah, so it's just like, it's kind of like a technical hiking route where they have these like iron rungs just like drilled into like the rock faces. And so you like wear a harness and you have two like adjustable lanyards with carabiners and you can hook into the rods. And so you just like hike along this cliffside and like keep clipping yourself in. So it allows you to like do kind of like these precarious hikes because you're hooked into the wall the whole time. So the one in Telluride is just so pretty because that whole like basin of Telluride up to Bridalveil Falls, I think that's what it's called, right? Yeah, Bridalveil. It's just so pretty, and if you do it in the fall, like it's just completely golden, and you're just on top of this cliff, like with this amazing view. And we did it this past October, and Sam was so annoyed by me just being like, "Wow, oh my gosh, it's so pretty!" like for like 2 hours.
I didn't even know that there was Via Ferrata in Colorado until it seems like I saw you do that one and someone else do it recently. So
Yeah, and they just got a new one in Ouray as well. That one, it's it's fine. It's fun. It's not as good as the one in Telluride though. I would definitely recommend that one.
I don't know if I'll be able to do that because I'm afraid of heights, and I hate that I'm afraid of heights.
Yeah.
It's like an irrational fear that I have. I hate it so much.
Yeah.
be like your goal, like if you
Dude,
ever
I've been working on that since I was born. It's like honestly, it's like irrational, but like my body, I just my anxiety spikes, my heart spikes, I like my legs like give out. It's really sad. So if you have some tips, I've been working on that my whole life.
I may not be the one to ask because I have an irrational lack of fear of heights. So.
I wish that I had that. I'll trade you.
There's probably benefits to both, maybe more benefits to having the fear. But
You get to see lots of beautiful places. So
yeah. you should try canyoneering because even though you're like rappelling down things, it's usually like more enclosed spaces and it's not like a big scary view where you feel like you're gonna like fall off like a giant cliff, you know? I mean, sometimes it is, but if you do the right canyon or the right route, then it feels a lot like safer because it's like, you know, like you're closer to the ground generally. So I don't know, you try it.
I tried to do Angel's Landing. I know that's not canyoneering, but I tried to do that with my sisters last year. And I literally couldn't do it.
Yeah. And like I get that. I mean, like there's like huge drop-offs. So you're not alone. It's not irrational.
we wanted to know a Zen moment that you've had well in the outdoors.
So I was trying to think of like the most recent one that was just overly Zen. So in October, I think it was October, I went for a hike in Santa Fe. There's a mountain range out there, and there's a lot of aspens. So I went to go like take photos of the aspens up this canyon there. And so I woke up before, like I got there, like as the sun was coming up, woke up super early. And I was just I had never been to this trail before. So I was kind of walking around looking for, you know, like the shots I was going to want to get or like some particularly pretty aspens or something to like photograph once the sun came up. So I ended up in this grove of aspens that were like orange, like they weren't like the typical golden color, like they were just like this beautiful like burnt orange color. And so I knew that was a spot I wanted to photograph, and I was down kind of like off the trail in this just aspen field, like on this hillside. And so I was just sitting there waiting for the sun to come up and like for the sun to hit those trees so they would light up. And I mean, I probably waited for like 30, 40 minutes. Like I way overestimated like my timing. So I was just sitting there waiting. And then I just, all of a sudden, like the sun hits the grove where I'm sitting, and I look up, and like these aspen trees look like they're on fire, and it was completely silent. There was no one around, and it was just like one of those, like my jaw dropped, and I was just like just talking to myself. I was like, oh my gosh, like this is so cool. And I seriously just stood there and like looked up at the aspen trees for like a few minutes and just like watched them glow. And I may have shed a tear, I can't remember, but it was like a really cool experience. Oh, and I like forgot to take the photos that I meant to, in a few minutes in, I was like, oh shoot, like I need to get my camera out because I need to capture this before the light goes away. And like usually it's the opposite, right? You like forget to take in the moment because you're taking the photos. So that was really cool. I appreciate being able to have moments like that. I should text you the pictures because it was just like so pretty.
Yeah, well, I'll add it in. No, I think I read a post by Chris Burkhardt that said that, like, someone asked him why he takes good pictures. He's like, it's because most of the time I'm not taking pictures. I'm just taking it in and enjoying it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, definitely a balance.
that's cool. And I love, like, especially just seeing new things and just experiencing things for yourself, and like, I think nature helps us reconnect. So
Yes, absolutely.
that's really cool. Okay, well, I think the final question is, like, I know that you're passionate about like preserving national parks and like Zion and all of that. What is kind of your take and advice on that?
Yeah, just like how people can help with that, basically.
Yes.
Yeah. Um, so definitely practicing leave no trace. If people don't know what leave no trace is, or they need a refresher, leavenotrace.org. You can like click on their tab that says like, what are the 7 principles? So just read up on the 7 principles of leave no trace, start practicing it, tell your friends about it. It's truly amazing how many people get out into the outdoors without even knowing what it is, or like how they are, like the impact they're having on the land. So yeah, just basically educating yourself, and then also educating people kindly, and just helping people um, know better how to take care of places. Another thing people can do is volunteer. A lot of like public spaces, um, parks and stuff, like you can volunteer to pick up trash, or which I mean you don't even need to volunteer to do that. Just go pick up trash. But like they'll have a like cleanup events or trail maintenance or whatever, stuff like that. And then yeah, like support nonprofits who are taking care of the land and who are trying to preserve it.
Do you have a favorite nonprofit that you support?
This past Giving Tuesday, I was working with Grand Staircase Escalante partners. So they use their donations to work towards like the preservation and maintenance of Escalante, which is like such a beautiful area. So they're one of my favorites. Yeah, just finding nonprofits that particularly work with the areas that you love. So
That's cool. Yeah, I think when it's benefiting a local area, it really gives me more motivation to want to donate to it, because I'm like, oh, I enjoy this, I love it, I want it to stay how it is for future people, and even for myself too.
Yeah, for sure. And along those lines, like just being an advocate for those places that you love, like knowing who you're voting for and knowing when those places are being put at risk and what you can do about it. Yeah, just like using your voice and not being lazy. If you love a place, like make sure you're taking actions to preserve it.
I love that. Well, I've never been on leavenotrace.org, but like I've heard that saying and I like it, it's very catchy. So I think there are, like, you can kind of know the gist of what it means from just the phrase,
Right.
but I'm excited to go check that email, or not email, but the website out. So yeah. Cool. Well, I think that concludes all my questions. Do you have any parting thoughts?
Man, I feel like we covered a lot. So we didn't hit it. Guess we'll just have to hit it next time.
Okay. Yep, next time. Okay. Well, thank you for being on the Endurance Nutrition Show.
Thank you.
And everyone should go follow you.
So Average Joe Adventures is my main account. It's just average.joe.adventures. And then I actually do have a website and blog that I just launched, which I haven't even announced yet on my Instagram. So you're like literally the first person to know about. But yeah, it's just averagejoeadventures.com. So
Cool.
yeah.
So we can get all of the information, all the detailed information and insights. Cool. Yeah, and I love your Instagram. Like, I love that you have like a cool guide on how to on what you can do at Zion's, and
Yeah.
I love all learning about the outdoors on your Instagram account. So
Yeah, it's fun.
cool. Okay, cut.